Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Stand Up Speakeasy. My name is Sareth, and every single episode I bring a guest comic, a fellow stand-up comic, to the show, and we interview them. And I was hoping to go on tour, as many of you all know, but COVID hit, and I figured this is the next best thing. So, without further ado, from Chicago, Tyler Ross. Hey, Tyler, how are you?
Hello, hey, thanks for having me on. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. I had one of these weird experiences on the first where I woke up with like a really bad like headache and everything, and you probably go, well, you're probably hungover. I haven't drank in over a year, so anytime I wake up with a headache in the morning, I'm like, oh, this is just like a residual hangover that I didn't cash in during my years of drinking. So it's like a delayed hit hangover that I'm experiencing today. So, what's up, everybody?
Indeed. Oh man, I stayed home for I saw like there's this place nearby that just has fireworks, so I just heard them, and it's a lot of fun. I don't really go out for holidays because there's too many drunk people on the road. I'm like, not today.
Mhm.
Indeed. But luckily for you, you guys have the train stations that when I went into the on the trains, it was a lot of fun and got around really easy out there. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I haven't owned a car in now almost 9 years, and it is like the greatest thing ever. Like I have had when I did own a car when I lived in Ohio previously, this thing would like bust out all the time, and I like did a good job of maintaining it, I thought, but it just like bad luck after bad. Like I would drive down the road and just run over a broken bottle after I just replaced tires, like that kind of level of like, I don't think I'm supposed to own a car. So yeah, the train's beautiful. My new thing I was really into over summer here was, do you have these electric scooters down in Florida everywhere? The like Lime and like Bird scooters everywhere.
Mostly in Orlando, I think, maybe, and I've seen some in Atlanta when I went and toured there. But
Like I said,
yeah,
I don't drink anymore, so riding an electric scooter at 15 miles an hour down the street was the greatest high I've experienced in a long time. So I don't work for either company, but I'm promoting them here. So
awesome, good stuff for sure. And Tyler, you're a Chicago-based comedian now, and what are some of your favorite venues and shows that you performed throughout Chicago?
yeah, so there I've had the like fortunate I've been fortunate enough to be in Chicago for a little over 8 years now. I gotta say, I've loved working at Zany's the handful of times I've been a performer there. It's like a beautiful club. It's a tiny little shoebox. Like no one really fits comfortably, and there's like it's awkward to get to the stage. And I've always felt like the more uncomfortable the audience is sitting, the better the show's gonna be. And that place like nails it. And also like the staff is so like into comedy and being a part of like everything. It's just like it's a beautiful and fun place, like probably the coolest place to perform. Another club I really like is in Wisconsin. It's called the Skyline Comedy Club. And between saying this a million times, I love Appleton, Wisconsin. Like the people there are just so friendly. They're so nice. They're definitely like not who I normally think would associate with my comedy, but after shows, I have such a fun time with them. And again, that's another place where the staff is just like so cool to hang around, and they have a Christmas themed bar all year round in Appleton. So any excuse, again, I don't drink, but I'm just like, I want to be in a bar that's Christmas themed because why not? So yeah, those are like probably my top two favorite places to perform at. There's a ton of like great bar scene shows around the city, and at this point I'm like escaping the names of them. It's been so long. It's weird when you don't have to send booking emails all the time to like other comedians in the city when you just forget what it was. And then the Annoyance Comedy Theater would do a Saturday show and an open mic every week, and it was like such a strong like great community there. Not only was like the showcase always like packed and full of these people who I have no idea how they heard about the show, but they were there. And then the open mic would be like standing room only, such a supportive like space for everybody. So yeah, Man, talking about these places really is making me miss them so much. I feel like like a lot of people, I've just blanked out those places existing in my brain, so I don't have to think about it or be sad anymore. So thanks a lot for making me sad
Uh,
already.
I'm sorry. For sure. Indeed, Annoyance has a huge place in my heart because Lil, when she was running it, she booked me, and it was pretty awesome of her, and so I got to do a little Annoyance at the theater, and I think I did the small room there, and it was completely packed, and I'm like, holy moly! Like you said, there's just so many people there, and it's pretty awesome that it was upstairs and all that good stuff, and
And
I love that.
another small place with tiny chairs where people are like, I'm rubbing against you, but like that's that good comedy energy, you know?
Indeed, most definitely, I loved it, and let's see here. And you mentioned Wisconsin, uh, and you've performed at comic clubs across the country. And what are some of your favorite comic clubs across the country?
Well, I guess I missed one that is my absolute favorite. It's, I guess, as comedians call it with the terms, it's my home club. And that's the Funny Stop Comedy Club. It's in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio. If you're ever in Ohio, stop by. The owner is a trip. He's owned this club for since dinosaurs were doing stand-up comedy, I'm pretty sure. He's just like a lot of fun. He loves comedy. He loves like supporting comedians. He loves giving everyone a hard time. It's like such a raw comedy experience. It's the only place I've ever been heckled by the owner while I've performed, and he does it in like such a fun, he does it in a fun way. It's just such a weird and unique experience, but I got the headline there earlier in the year, which was really cool. It's the first time I've ever headlined a comedy club. So that's why I'm a little biased against it, or for it rather. But the Funny Stop is like definitely one of my favorite places to perform. In Ohio. I've been to Wisconsin a few times. I've had my worst comedy club experience ever, which is a place that I won't even say the name, but it's not open anymore, so it doesn't matter. But it was below a sports bar, so you would just hear all the like thumping, and one side was a sports bar, connected was a strip club. So you would then hear also on the side wall just like thumping strip club music. And the one day I was there, it was super packed because they had like a little person stripper there, and it was like the biggest thing happening in this part of Wisconsin. I just like was like, okay, all 6 people enjoying this comedy show that we're doing. You guys missed out on what the real entertainment was upstairs. I'll just never forget that the sports bar, strip club, comedy club, the comedy club did worse. Who would have thought, you know?
Oh man, that's like a dream come true. There's like 2 strip clubs in Daytona Beach that I performed in, and one was really smoky, and the one was just too big for comedy. But it was always a dream of mine to perform in a strip club, and I got to do it, and it's a lot of
I
fun.
love the idea of smoking indoors. The few times I've been to like casinos where people are smoking inside, like I don't generally smoke cigarettes, but I just want to because I'm like, you got to take advantage of it while you can. So it feels very like 60s speakeasy comedy when I'm like smoking cigarettes inside. I love it. Why
Indeed.
I love Oklahoma, but that's because it's basically their motto is like, come on, smoke inside with us. Don't quote me. I don't know if that's official or not.
Indeed, most
If
definitely.
you
I
have a
love
big Oklahoma following, I hope they're not mad at me for that comment.
You're totally fine. And so, and my homeroom's in Daytona Beach as well. It's called the Tirnog Irish Pub, and it's like Doug Stanhope did like a surprise set there with his buddies, and it was pretty rad.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was awesome, and there's just like I just love it. It's like it looks run down inside and really dark, and people get scared, but it's like Daytona has like a really small, tight knit family, and it's just awesome. I love it.
That's so cool. Yeah, I guess whenever I hear Daytona Beach, I just assume you're on spring break or racing a car. So to hear that there's also comedy there too is just like a fun little combo pack for it. So
Absolutely, indeed. And don't forget your bath salts. And indeed. Oh
how close
man.
have you come encounter with like one of these crazy Florida incidents? Like, what do you think is your most like, wow, that's a real Florida incident that's happened around me? Do you have any that like off the top of your head were like, yeah, I saw a man carrying an alligator over his shoulder walking into Walmart? Like, have you had any of those like in your short time in Florida experiences like that?
There's one, and I think about it all the time, and it's about this lady that came in to the Nog, and we call it the Nog for short. And she had a boyfriend at the time, and I say had because it was really had, um, because she was offering everyone drugs except for me, and I felt left out.
Oh,
And
how
then
rude.
yeah, and then she was like, and then all of a sudden her boyfriend never showed up again. And then we opened up the newspaper, and it was on the front page, and folded it and everything. And it turned out that she dismembered her boyfriend and buried him in the garden, and so that was like the most Florida thing I've ever known.
Oh
So
my God. Yeah, okay, that definitely checks out for me. That's not happening in Ohio where I'm from for sure. So
it,
that's crazy.
it was like Eileen Warnos reincarnated, so it was pretty intense. Oh man. So yeah, and so for now there's a Lift the Band coalition that we're raising funds for with the interview. And why did you choose those fine folks to raise funds for?
So this is something I've worked with through other people before. It's mostly about just making sure people have affordable housing at its core, without being too preachy. Everywhere, especially Chicago, every single place is like, hey, let's build a luxury high-rise building that only 6 people are going to live in because they are so goddamn expensive. And they also are like, we have a gym and a pool, so pay $2,000 for a studio apartment that you can step inside of. And that's it, and it's just like, we all agree housing and shelter is one of the like most important things. And this is just like an organization that really helps to make sure that like it's affordable and it's like people are able to live, because that, again, like we're taught as children, like what are things you need to eat, you need water, you need clothing, you need shelter. So if it's not like a thing that's, again, like if it becomes so difficult to live inside of a home, it's nice that there's like organizations working hard for people that it's not the most just like, oh, I have a job and blah blah blah, I pay for everything now. It's not the same situation for everybody. So I really enjoy and like the work they do. So
Indeed, most definitely. And that's what LA turned out after, like towards the end of my journey there. And they tore down the House of Blues and they built, high rise, and my rent alone was like $9.95 for 1 bedroom, 1 bath out there, and that was like cheap. And I lived in Sherman Oaks, which is a nice area, but it was just like, oh man. But I'm glad I moved back home, and then now I'm back in Florida. So well, it's like my first time in Florida, but it's not too bad. It's like nonstop comedy, so there's no
you
snow to
learned
stop.
the lessons from it, like what the younger version of yourself had done mistakenly. You're ready to apply those lessons, just poorer, and that's always fun.
Indeed, most definitely. And so, Tyler, for the next segment, these were the questions I was hoping to ask you while I was going on, if I was to go on tour before COVID hit. So, with that being said, Tyler, what inspired you to perform stand-up comedy?
So playing hockey inspired me, as weird as that may sound. I played like travel hockey my entire life, and there isn't a lot of hockey in Ohio, so mostly I was doing like road trips to like Michigan or Canada where there was like high level hockey. So when most kids were like listening to whatever music their parents were shoving down their throat, my mom was renting comedy albums for whatever reason. So I would take these like road trips and just be listening to like Jerry Seinfeld albums or like Mitch Hedberg albums. And like when Sirius XM became a thing, we would just like have it on the Comedy Network exclusively, and just like listening to that all the time just made me just kind of like fall in love with these like performers and these people. And I do remember being like younger, being like, man, I hope one day someone assigns me to be a comedian, because I'd love, it's like when you're little, you don't understand how people like rise to the level that they're at. And I was also a goalie, so I was constantly just standing by myself waiting for people to come around me. So I felt like the two were a pretty seamless like combination of the two. But yeah, I mean, I've listened to stand up for years, even probably when it was like very inappropriate to be listening to. And as like the year, I was like not playing hockey as much because I'm not a child, and I was just Googling, I like never lost the bug of like, how does someone just start doing stand up? And the simple answer is you just show up and sign up your name, and then you can just start calling yourself a comedian. So it was pretty cool. I remember signing up the first time when I was like in college at the like pizza place by my school, and you know, as I'm sure a lot of people have told you, like you get that first laugh and then you're like, wow, I'm checked in forever trying to steal this from people and strangers. So yeah, that's basically where it came from.
Awesome stuff. And I grew up. I was watching a lot of hockey, and my favorite team, of course, is the Colorado Avalanche. And
Oh yeah, are you a big Patrick Waugh guy?
yep. And when they had that rivalry with the Detroit Red Wings, it was just so gnarly when that big old fight blew up, and it was just like, man, there's so much blood.
I'm on the Red Wings side of this because Ohio didn't have a hockey team forever, so I was a big Red Wings fan. So Chris Osgood versus Patrick Waugh, like I'm there with it. I actually have like back when you would get like pictures of events rather than just have that on your phone. I have that printed out, like framed of Patrick Waugh and Chris Osgood fighting, and because I played Chris Osgood's son. Chris Osgood signed it, and I just have never been able to get Patrick Waugh to sign it. So I have that picture signed by one of the guys. So that's so weird. Man, look at these two things coming together right now. That's so funny. I never get to talk about how I have a signed picture of two goalies fighting. It doesn't come up very often, if you can believe that.
That's pretty wild. For sure. That's great. And Joe Sakic is now like one of the main head guys of the Avalanche now, and Patrick Waugh used to be a coach there, and I was like keeping up through like here and there through the years with them, and but now they live in Florida. It's like now I'm stuck with the Panthers, and so and the Thunder and the Thunder. So it's not too bad of a hockey state. So
well, and the best is like his son is like a crazy person too. Like I don't know, this was so many years back, but he was like coaching his son and like told his son to go fight the other goalie. Like there's this crazy video where the other goalie doesn't want to fight, and Patrick Waugh's son is like rips off his mask and just starts like throwing haymakers at him. Like he's a crazy person, and his son is also a crazy person. So like, but that's what makes excellent athletes, I suppose. I don't know.
I guess so. And have you ever gotten into any of those hockey fights?
Yes, I got into a goalie fight again, and this is the weird thing about hockey at small town junior hockey and comedy is you play in these like small towns no one's heard of. So just like I performed in Appleton, Wisconsin, I've gotten to a goalie fight in Binghamton, New York. Like it's weird when these two start crossing over when I'm like going to Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and I'm like, I played hockey here. And I was like, these are places that don't have professional sports. They have like 17 to 20-year-olds that they get to watch play before they go pro. And they also end up having like B or C list comedy clubs. So I never understood why like a town like that was like, well, you can have the almost good version of what we're showing you. You can watch teens play this sport, but no professionals. Sorry, not allowed in this town. And then they're like, and you can also have Tyler perform for you. Not like Kevin Hart, but Tyler can come to Iowa City, Iowa or whatever. So it's a weird crossover. But yeah, Binghamton, New York, it's a town that will live in my mind forever, rent free.
Awesome. Good stuff. And so what was the feeling like when you first performed stand-up?
It was crazy because I had a friend that I brought with me who laughed at everything. And not only that, but like had one of those laughs you could hear in a room no matter how many people were in it. Like you'd pick her like obnoxious over the top laugh. And it was one of those things where I don't know if I was so relieved when she started laughing at things I was saying because it caused other people to laugh because of her, or if it was because of like what I was actually saying. So it was just one of those things where I was like, all right, well, I have to keep doing this to see if my friend is making everyone laugh with her ridiculous laugh, or if it's genuinely something I'm doing. But it was awesome. I mean, I also, and probably not the best reason, but the place I started doing stand-up at they wouldn't card the performers normally. So I got to find out very quickly that if I ordered beer right after I went on stage, they'd be like, I'm not going to card you. You performed. You must be old enough and dumb enough to be doing stand-up comedy. So we will serve you this pitcher of beer. And I'd be like, yeah, I'm a comedian. You can give me beer. Like I had a person I was dating that was also a comedian when I first started, who got hired by a different bar that we were doing shows at before she was 21. And they never really asked because they're like, well, if you want to work at the bar on Monday comedy night, like, whatever, you can take the tips. It's like no paperwork signed. And when we told them, like, hey, she's celebrating her 21st birthday, they were pretty pissed. But, it's stuff like that keeps you wanting to do comedy for the sweet deals of everything.
Indeed, most definitely. And man, that's a pretty cool story. And that's the same that happens in Orlando sometimes. It's like they give you a free drink, but I always go for the soda because I don't drink. And because I had one bad hangover, and I'm like, that's it. That was like back when I was like 17 years ago, or 20 years ago. Yeah, it was 20 years ago. One bad
Wow.
hangover.
Congratulations. Yeah, I'm October, so it'd be like 15 months basically right now. It's been a small enough amount of time I can say it in months still. So
Congratulations. Good stuff. You're welcome. And you mentioned earlier in the first answer that you listened to a lot of comedy albums growing up. And what are your favorite comedy albums and comedy specials?
I would definitely have to say Jerry Seinfeld's I'm Telling You for the Last Time. Again, it's something that I've heard hundreds of times just because I would just keep like on play. It was just something that like, it was something I was applying to like school papers, right? Like Jerry Seinfeld has such an ability to like transition, make a point, follow it up, and then go with the next like seamless. Like it was something that even when I was writing like book reports, it was something I was trying to like copy the flow of, and just like the formatting of how he was like putting things together. And I can also remember my mom like going back and playing specific transitions to be like, see, when you're trying to transition about Catcher in the Rye or whatever the fuck I was talking about, you see how he went from here to here. It's like you have to try to figure out how to like loop these things together. So it was like a very cool like, oh, that's right, you can apply these things to other examples in your life. And that's probably the one that had the biggest impression on me. That or like any Mitch Hedberg joke, just like hearing like short, quick, like silly whatevers. That was something that again, when I transitioned to XM Sirius Radio, whenever like a Mitch Hedberg joke came on, I was like, shut up, no one talk, I have to hear every second of this. So yeah, those are the two. It's so weird to think about now that we're bringing it up, but
Indeed, most definitely. And Jerry's been on TV and film and stuff. And I want to know what your favorite sitcom, sketch shows, and comedy films are.
okay. So best sketch show I think is I Think You Should Leave. It's the new Tim Robinson show. It is just like crazy. I don't know. It's very silly, and everything about it is just like it pays off. And it was like when I watched it for the first time, I was in love with it. Like it's definitely a show I'll go back to watching because it's just so well done. But yeah, I Think You Should Leave. It's on Netflix. Go check it out. It's really good. And then, man, I watched so many sitcoms this year, as I'm sure everyone has. But probably my favorite one has to be Dave right now. Okay, so I'll give a two-part answer. My favorite one right now is probably Dave. I think like it was just so well done. The storytelling was great. His hype man side character Gato was like one of the coolest characters to watch, like their story for the show. Have you watched Dave yet or seen it?
I'm all caught up. It's good stuff.
It was amazing. It was just like incredible. It was just so goddamn good. So that would be like what's now. My favorite ever sitcom though, I mean, I was really, really bought into Brooklyn Nine-Nine at the beginning. I thought it was just like the perfect show. Like I love Andy Samberg. I think he's just like a great actor and everything. So yeah, that's my two-part answer. So sketch, sitcom. Was there another one that I'm missing?
Comedy films.
Comedy films. Okay, I'm a distinct tie between Coming to America and Beverly Hills Cop, because Eddie Murphy, I think, is also like one of the funniest people ever. Already, like later in my life, I would watch Eddie Murphy Raw like all the time, and I just love the 80 movie. His laugh is just like the best. Like when you hear him do the like, it gets me every time. It's perfect and beautiful, and his like level of smoothness and like those characters for Beverly Hills Cop specifically is just like I could just watch it all every single day, and just hearing the like do 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 do. It's just like I don't know. It's a perfect movie in my opinion. I don't care if the other two were not as good. Eddie Murphy deserved that money. So
Indeed, most definitely. And I definitely love Coming to America too, like especially when like Eddie Murphy was all those different characters, and it's just like awesome. And I can't wait to see what he does with the sequel. And
March 5th. I can't wait. Have you watched the trailer yet?
yep, it looks fantastic
Oh, it looks so
indeed.
good. I'm so excited. And they
And
have,
all those oh, I'll go for it.
I was gonna say, and they have a lot of the original actors, it seems like, are in it. Like, it's so cool.
Indeed, my words exactly. There's like that's what I was gonna say too, and that's like I can't wait to see all those fine comedians like James Earl Jones and all those fine folks back. So
It's crazy because I love I don't know if you saw Uncut Gems, but my like favorite part in that movie probably is the cameo where they're like, hey, go use my neighbor's bathroom. He was the father in Coming to America. And I was like, what a weird random thing to pull. And it is the actual actor from that movie. So I just love these like weird cameos that he made after the fact as just the dad from Coming to America.
Indeed, that's a great film too. I was like, man, that was really intense. I love how like comedic actors take on those serious roles, and like what Robin Williams did in like the 24-hour photo and stuff. It's like, man, these guys can really go into that really dark place, and it's just really awesome. So
I saw Uncut Gems in theaters and I felt like I was having a panic attack while I was watching in the theater. It was just like so keyed in. And then like months later, I was watching it with my girlfriend. It was her first time. And right before, spoiler, if you've never seen it, right before at the end where they like shoot him, I turned on my camera to like face her so I could get her reaction of what was happening at the end. And it was just like one of the best like payoffs of like, if I record this, it's going to look good later. And her like shock was just like exactly what I was looking for. So I was so happy with the payoff. And also I've started sports gambling because of how many times I've watched Uncut Gems, but that's a separate vice for a separate podcast, I think. So.
Indeed, most definitely. I usually go by myself to the movies because I'm really loud with my reactions, and I don't want anyone next to me to be startled.
That's awesome.
Indeed. And so, if you can go on tour with any comedian locally and internationally known, which comedians would you like to go on tour with?
Wow, that's a great one. So I would probably this will be who I nominate. It's probably my friend Pratik Srivastava. He's just been like doing a lot of really great things, just like really putting in the time. He just released an album this year. And he's just someone that like from the time I've moved to Chicago, he's just been like very a part of like my life and just been like an amazing friend. And I'm sure, as you know, like, you know, comedy people, they come and go in your life. Someone who you thought you saw every night at an open mic quits 2 weeks later, then you never hear of them again because they became a sports journalist, you know? So, so I very much enjoy being with him and being on the road. I would love to like be on the road with him sometime. He's just incredible. He's amazing. If I could pick any celebrity to go on the road, it'd be Emo Phillips. I just feel like he's just like a weird guy, and I would love to kind of just follow him around throughout the course of his day just to see like what he's up to. So yeah, those are my two. It's probably Emo Phillips and my friend Pratik.
That's pretty awesome combo. Emo is a pretty neat person, and just to like see his presence on stage is really rad and all that good stuff. And if you can get roasted by 5 comedians, past and present, which comedians would you like to get roasted by?
Oh my God. I would probably put Anthony Jeselnik at the top of there because I just think he's just like perfect with his like level, his like word efficiency, but also like he just hits the mean like perfect, like not like too aggressive. So Anthony Jeselnik would be one. You know, just because of she's been around forever, and I'd love to see Lisa Lampanelli, just because she's a classic roast person. See what's going on. We share a last name, so I'm gonna go with Jeff Ross. I feel like that's appropriate. Janine Garofalo, not because she's necessarily a roast person, but I think she'd be funny to watch her be mean to me. And then last but not least, I would probably want, wow, what a tough question. I'm going to go with Mark Maron because I feel like he'd overthink it and it would just be fun. I've never seen him be mean or roast people necessarily. I've seen him go on a rant about being bugged by things, but I think it'd be funny just to see or watch him like have to roast people.
Indeed, excellent choices. And where do you see your comedy career in the next 5 years?
Oof. Well, where is comedy going to be in the next 5 years? Yikes. No, I really enjoy like, before all this, I would go on a lot of independent run tours. I used to run a little thing called Commit to the Bit with my friend Dylan Scott, and we would set up like just a little small town. Like we did past 3 summers, we were on the road for the entire summer because we both work at public schools, so we have the summer off. So it would be like a really nice thing to just like run around for 30 days, and that's what I would like to continue doing, is just like working and doing like smaller produced shows with like, again, another random city I love going to is Fayetteville, Arkansas. Like I just love being down there. The people there are rad as hell. I love to like keep doing that. I also really enjoy the few comedy clubs that have like allowed and hired me. I want to go back, stuff like that. Yeah, I just really enjoy like traveling on the road, and I really like food. So going to places where they have yummy food is probably, again, those are 2 things I'm always trying to compare or marry together, is like, can I find a comedy show and they also have something unique food wise that I can take advantage of?
Indeed. It reminds me of the show that I did in Atlanta when they had it. They closed down the theater, but it was called Sweet Baby Cheeses. And when it would make grilled cheese in the corner, and then the performer would be on stage, and they would hand out free grilled cheese. It was amazing. So.
A festival I did in Columbus it was called the Whiskey Bear Festival. I think it's going to be something different next, but they had this hot dog show where you would go out of the room beforehand, and then the audience would be given a rule about your set. So anytime you broke that rule, you got added another hot dog that you had to eat or try to finish before you were allowed off stage. So they'd be like, if you ask a question, you get added a hot dog. Or I'm trying to think of like what my rule was. It was something, I think it was like if you ask a question or if you say the word I or something like that, and you don't get to leave the stage. So I was just sitting on stage eating hot dogs while their performers were like coming and going and not being filled with hot dogs on their plates. So favorite, but it was still pretty cool.
Indeed, most definitely. And my pal Anna runs a drag comedy show, and like the final battle is like them having to bob for cucumbers in this white liquid that she makes. So,
that's funny.
It's like, oh my Lanta, this is intense. So, oh man. And then which other forms of comedy would you like to venture off into, like improv, sketch, comedy writing, acting, directing, etc.?
So when I first moved to Chicago, I actually did a ton of improv when I first moved here. Like I took classes at IO and like all the places. I really enjoy doing improv. I'm just really bad at it. I just didn't really like enjoy the idea of like I don't have to be prepared and I can lean on other people that are more talented than me to carry me. So so I try to avoid improv so I don't make other people have to work harder than me. I would love to like I've been trying to get better at script writing. It's just one of those like skills I haven't really cracked, but I would love to just like be writing more scripts. I think it's like a really like cool and fun way to like manipulate and use jokes in a different form. I just need to get better at what are characters, what up with that? So I would love to like be writing scripts more. I just have no clue how poorly I'm doing at it. So
Indeed. During my LA days, they would give me the script Bible, and I'll send you the Amazon link, or that's the only place I could find it, and of how to like structure scripts and stuff. And it's pretty neat because like there's different colors of like the different drafts that you have to go through, and what colors they have to be, and all that stuff. It's pretty neat. So I'll send you a link.
Yeah, thanks.
Indeed. And what is your favorite joke a comic has ever written?
Wow. Well, I'll give you my dumbed down answer first before I think of my real one. But I work at a public school, like I mentioned. So my favorite kids joke, I'll say first, which is why do chickens lay their eggs? Because if they dropped them, they would break. Now, I heard a kid tell me that one time, and I was like, wait, you get that? It took me like a second because it was like, you're understanding it, and I didn't expect them to. And it's like, hands down, one of my favorite like kid jokes ever. It's just like perfect. But probably my favorite like bit is John Doerr does this joke, and he did it on Conan where he talks about maybe you've seen the bit where it's just like you can't just make a noise after saying something and that be true. So like the joke is like his friend's like, do you want to go see Metalhead? I have an extra ticket. And he's like, I don't like metal. And he's like, you don't like metal? You don't like metal? And then he just goes into this like crazy long bit like of like the most intricate act outs I've ever seen, just based on like that little like moment in time. So John Doerr on Conan, you should look it up if you haven't seen it. It is like it's like perfect to me. It's like the best joke ever.
Indeed, I'll definitely have to check that out for sure. And what experience would you like your audience to take with them after set is over?
Well, I'd love for like a stand-up set. You're saying?
Yep.
You know, I like people to say anything to me after, even if it's just like a thumbs up. You know, I think all of us probably are just like wanting to feel approachable. And I feel like I very much put that out there of I'm just like, I want your love and attention, like we all do. But yeah, I mean, most of the time I just want just a little bit like, okay, that was chill and fun. Never really been someone that's been great at making a point of like huge wordy or heady kind of concepts. So my comedy has always tried to be like, we're in this together, buddy. And that's kind of what I'm hoping for, is people are like, yeah, I know what you're saying. Like that's what I'm looking for.
Indeed, most definitely. And Tyler, for the next segment, which comics would you like to see on a future episode of the Stand Up Speakeasy?
Yeah, so I would love to have you talk to my friend Pratik. He is, again, someone that has just like really hustled and worked so hard to like get a lot of the opportunities that he's gotten. I think he's just, again, he's just like fun to watch perform. He's just like a very like force to be reckoned with. He was made like NBC Breakout, like pretty far in that and everything. So he's just really been like powering away. Another person I really like is, his name is Max Walter. He is somebody who I performs a lot at Zanies previously rather, but he's somebody I actually worked with at like my regular job as well. And it's one of those things where I forget like, oh, that's right, comedians also have to eat and pay for things that way. So, you know, we're very close through that kind of experience. And then I would say another really great performer to keep an eye out is her name is Sarah Volpio. I actually went to college with her, and I dropped out of college, but she kept going. So whenever I came back, I'd be able to kind of like pop into college shows because of them. And they're in Chicago too. So it's been really great to kind of keep seeing them. And I hate having to say we used to. We would do a coming home show every day after Thanksgiving, where it'd be like any comedians that live outside of Ohio. And if you're in town visiting family, we would just do this like blowout show of comedians and people. And she's someone that's been on it every year and like crushed it. So it's always been really fun to like see her perform.
Awesome, great stuff. And be sure to follow Tyler on Instagram and Twitter with the same handles below, and donate to his Venmo, since most of us, instead of Florida Comics, the shows have halted for him for a little while. And donate to him because he's missing out on some paid gigs. And definitely check out Lift the Band Coalition and help them out as much as you can. That'd be fantastic. And Tyler, are there any final words you'd like to give to the audience tonight?
If you want to see pictures of my cat, we put bows on her. And also, I really would like the Cleveland Browns to win this weekend for my mental health. That's all I've been focusing on lately. So, yeah, follow me if you want to see my cat and bows.
Indeed. And I have to say the same for the Broncos. I mean, come on, Broncos, get this together.
Drew Lock, is he the face of the franchise? I don't know. We'll find out.
Absolutely, indeed. But I hope next season is better for all of us and all that good stuff. But Tyler, thank you so much for being my guest on the show, on the Stand Up Speakeasy, and it means a lot. And I can't wait to go on. I'll be in Chicago in October, hopefully, if the pandemic goes away, because I'm part of a festival, and my favorite film is being reimagined, and I want to go see the premiere out in Chicago. And with that being said, thank you so much for being my guest, and I will see you in Chicago in October, I hope.
Hell yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome, and we'll see everyone next time. Be well, everyone.